Hey everybody, it's December and this is episode 107.
The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Need a show about outdoor living? This is where it's at with your hosts, Shane Chapman and Way Laurent. Thank you for tuning in. Now let the show begin. Yeah. The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Let's go.
Let's go. Super soft crowd in the IG today, but that might be our fault.
It's Black Friday.
Right, yeah.
That's
wants
why.
to be listening to us. Unless we're talking about smoking deals, which we could be.
Amazon.
We've got some smoking deals today.
Like actually smokers.
Smoker and
Like
Yeah,
actual smoking deals.
That was a pun not intended, but it was a pretty good one though in
You're
hindsight.
so
You nailed
good.
it.
Yeah, you're
Too good
so
in
good at
hindsight.
punning. You don't even really have
Very
to work
punny.
at it.
Yeah. Should I tell the joke about the TikTok I saw? I thought that was really
Sure.
funny.
I
don't know
didn't laugh that hard. You
if-
could
You
try
didn't
it
laugh
again.
that hard. I feel
You try it again.
Okay, let's see it.
You had to be there kind
Let's
of
hear
thing.
it.
Yeah.
Bryce, are you on TikTok?
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever see the people that make their whole TikTok account is just them reading memes essentially?
Oh, yeah,
Two-part memes, and
Yeah.
they'll like hide the part and they'll read it and then they'll laugh. But for some reason it's funny because you're laughing with them kind of thing. Because laughing is contagious.
That's right.
So the one I saw yesterday, I
Not
went
like
through like
COVID.
100 of them. A little bit more contagious than COVID even. Like
Okay.
a laugh can get through a mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the one I watched a bunch of them, but the one I remembered was it was a picture of a family sitting down at a restaurant and the waitress standing above ready to take the order. And the dad's like, "Excuse me, can I ask you about the menu, please?" And she said, "Sir, the men I please is none of your business." The menu, please.
Again, it didn't get me the first time either.
I mean, you don't have kids, so.
But you do have CWB. We just
Hey,
talked about
yo.
D.
CWD, chronic
this.
wasting
CWD,
disease.
yeah.
Chronic wasting.
I thought you said B.
I think
You
I might have
did.
said B.
That's the bank.
Out of pure
Yeah.
bank.
Chronic
habit.
wasting bank.
No, we that's where we bank. The Canadian Western Bank.
There you go.
And we get the chronic wasting disease from the deer.
Yeah. Yeah, you went hunting yesterday.
And
Oh, I wasn't hunting yesterday. I worked yesterday.
You went hunting.
we
the
made
whole
made
week
fun of
before
you.
yesterday.
We made fun of you on the last podcast.
Did you? Weird.
Did we?
I'm
Yeah,
not-
about
not
how
here
you
to-
never bring stuff home
Oh, yeah.
usually when you hunt.
Yeah. It's a cover.
How many moose did you bring back this time?
0 moose. I have no moose. Because I'm not a poacher.
Oh.
I saw so many though. So during moose season, you are only allowed to shoot bull moose.
Are you going hunting this week? No, I'm going scaring.
Yeah. Chasing, walking. I'm going walking.
I'm just going to fire lots and make them run.
Yeah, but you can't shoot anything either.
Just
right?
going moose watching.
I'm going moose watching. That's what I should say from now on. I was like, what are you doing? I'm going to go elk watching. Then I'm going to go moose watching. So, yeah, I saw tons of cows and calves, but no bulls. So anyways, and then on my way home,
What?
Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry, I got a little ahead of
you could just, what you could do is
That was
just
quite the music for an ofer.
turn the light on. And if you want me to stop talking, just turn the light on.
That's what I
and
was.
then
He just played you out. What is this, the Oscars?
It's a Wade story, so it's like it's taking way too long.
music to play us off. No, I
Get
love
to it. Moose watching.
Yeah.
yeah. So then anyways, I was done the moose watching and I was on my way home and I saw a deer while I was driving home. I wasn't actually really deer hunting. I just saw it and then stopped.
And that deer paid the price for your frustration all week.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
You did.
you weren't even trying to kill me in the first place.
you weren't even watching for me.
That's right.
So anyways,
This
I
is
got a
good-
deer.
This
So
is a good one though.
it's a good deer.
It's big old deer.
I don't know if people know any of the scoring systems, but it scored at 140. It grossed at 155 and a quarter, 7 inches of deductions. And so anyways,
Because of the massive hole you ripped through it, right? Those are
140.
the deductions.
No, yeah.
Would you punch it?
Yeah. I was so mad. I'm so mad. I could have. He was in rut. He was
How'd you
busy.
make a hole that big? My fist. What else? So yeah, I mean that's I was gonna say what else you did this week, but that's what you were doing
That's
the
what
whole
you were
week.
doing.
So like you
Walked a
broke
lot.
your quad a couple times.
Yeah. Cool.
You turned your quad into
It's a
not
paper.
working.
It's a
quad?
paperweight right now.
Oh,
It doesn't turn
is
on
it
or anything.
amphibious? Is that what did it?
No. Boy, could you imagine? That'd be a pretty awful way to end hunting.
Right?
Bloop, 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 bloop.
Hit that slough.
Yo, so that didn't work out. No, it just like the battery died, and then there's something's wrong on the rear differential. I think there's some gears grinding and stuff. So it's not. Anyways, moose hunting, it gets more and more expensive. it's actually way cheaper to just go to the grocery store and buy beef than
Well, yeah,
to
'cause
try
you're-
and get deer.
You're like 3
Yeah.
years running going out for a week and
Bagged one deer that's not
we
a
got,
moose.
we got a deer.
One not moose.
Yeah. And so I shot a deer last year,
Oh.
and it was really, 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 really warm out when I shot it. It was like +5.
Maybe you should go hunting for deer in moose season.
Mm-hmm.
You see where I'm going with
I
this?
see where you're going with this.
And yeah,
I figured it out.
my mom had a heart attack last year, shot the deer, brought it home.
Your mom shot the deer?
No, I shot the deer.
Okay.
I shot the deer. Then I brought it home.
Oh,
and I
that's so
hung it up.
big.
Mom had a heart attack, and I ended up being in the hospital with mom for like 4 or 5 days. And so the deer like wasted because it was warm. Right?
Yeah.
It was like I couldn't get there to process it. So I shot a deer last year, didn't get any of it off, and so turned into like coyote bait.
Redemption year.
Anyways, so it is crazy expensive. I have like quads and guns and clothes and all this stuff, and I have one deer in 4 years of hunting.
Yeah,
So-
I'm glad you're not our efficiency controller here.
That's right.
Yeah,
Maybe you were, but that job title's going to be removed.
we're going to be changing that. So, anyways,
I didn't shoot any deer this week. I put up my Christmas tree, though. Too early?
probably.
What's
just
your
as-
opinion?
No,
When's it too early for Christmas trees?
November 10th.
I'm going to tell you this. I didn't
You're
take
good.
my Christmas tree down.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's really strange.
We did a holiday tree every different holiday
This
this
is
year.
our Valentine's tree?
Yep. We did
And
a fall
this is our
tree,
Easter tree?
Halloween tree. We did a birthday tree.
It's fake, right? Like it's an artificial tree.
No, it's a real tree. yeah, of course
It's
it's an
just like-
artificial tree.
It's
Yeah.
just dead. It's like tried to ignite itself a couple times.
Yeah.
It's the tree out front. It's in
So-
the front yard.
You think anytime after November 11th is good to go?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
We had this conversation already.
Yeah.
On a previous podcast. You can put your tree up if you want. Just don't turn the lights on. That's it.
you can put it up and just don't turn the lights on
Lights
your
are the
tree.
offensive part?
Yeah.
What's the what? Why?
I don't know. It's just a weird, like, of all the quirks I have.
I
this
didn't
isn't
storm the
weirdest.
beaches for you to turn on the lights yet.
Right.
That's my point in this whole thing.
And
Like,
yours is like, you
Zero.
storm the beaches so I can turn the lights on whenever I want.
Yeah,
And it's like,
exactly.
yeah,
Like,
but like, out
freedom of
respect-
expression. You fought for this. I can put this up anytime, right? Yeah, no, I don't have any issue with that. Just don't turn the lights on.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Okay.
it was just like one of my things. I
Just
don't
one
know
of your
why.
things.
After Remembrance Day, then go to it.
And then it's a free for all.
Anyway.
Trees up. Looks good. You happy with it? Did you
I am
decorate
very
it?
Yeah, your
happy with
tree's
it.
up.
So I went.
Which
I-
kid put the star on the top?
We haven't done that yet because I had to order a new star.
Oh, you're a star guy.
So we had some
I
mice
actually-
in the garage
Oh, yeah.
last year. Or when was that? I
A
lost
couple
some
years
hockey
ago, you
equipment out
got
of it,
you got
so,
all new hockey gear. Yeah.
uh,
Speaking of expensive skates, like what's your cost per wear on your hockey game, your hockey
Yeah.
equipment,
My
right?
skates really pissed me off because that was just last season actually, and I had the mice in the garage. They got into my skates too. I went out and bought new skates. I wore those skates.
3 games.
I think a little bit more than that, but maybe like 10 games. Blew out my knee
Yep.
playing with you,
Yeah,
and then haven't worn them since. And
shouldn't
then
have went
COVID-
past me. I had to,
Had
I had to
teach him a
hit
lesson.
You don't go around me twice.
Then COVID shut everything down. And our team decided not to even play this year. So we didn't go back in. So I haven't played a game since I wrecked my knee back in January of this year, I think it was.
Holy smokes.
And so my skates have 10 games in them right now. They're $40 a wear or whatever it is. Like they're $400 or $500 skates. And I've got like 10 wears out of them. So
Wow.
now I'm gonna make a rink in my backyard, and it's not gonna be very big, but I'm gonna wear more skates.
You're
Just
gonna
like,
take one stride and you'll be across the whole thing.
yeah, they weren't even close to broke in yet, and I could sell them as brand new right now. So anyway,
The mice got to your star too.
yeah, the mice got into
That's the
our
story.
Christmas decorations and we threw them all out. So yes, we shopped local intentionally this year. It's like we usually go to Home Depot and grab our tree, and because it's cheap and it's easy, and sometimes you get a coupon to go to Home Depot. And I was like, that's enough. I'm shopping local, so I went to Cedar Creek Gardens and we bought our tree out there.
Nice.
And it's a beautiful little tree. It's the best tree we've ever had. And I don't know if that's because Home Depot gets crappy trees or what, or maybe it's just coincidence, but really nice tree. Nice and full, nice and green, healthy looking
Because
thing.
it's a live tree.
No holes in it.
Not a
oh yeah,
live
we
tree,
do
but-
live. Oh yeah.
Real tree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
You have to.
I'm an artificial tree guy.
Right?
No,
you leave yours up all year, so that makes sense.
Well, yeah. I got a really good deal on my artificial tree. I got a really, really nice one.
Was it free?
I fished it out of a dumpster
Yeah.
behind Old Navy.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, it's like probably on display there.
It was like one of they had 4 of them, and they were essentially just giving them away.
That's
They
funny.
didn't want them.
No, they weren't giving them away. They threw them in the garbage, and you dug it out of the garbage. That's
right.
different.
That's
than
right.
Giving them away. If
I
they'd given it away,
stole
So,
the
you know what?
tree.
Screw
from
Old
the
Navy here at this point because they could have given those away.
Oh yeah,
How,
100%.
how wasteful is that?
Pretty wasteful. Wow, not anymore.
Were you able to dig into the tree and find like some rolled up, plain, unlabeled teas in there or anything? Like,
No, I wish I would have though. That would have
right?
been good.
Yeah. Some skinny pants?
Some skinny pants.
boy, oh boy.
Okay.
Okay, let's get to it.
Let's hit the worldly news thing and
Okay, you
Right.
got to hit it today
at an appropriate time.
because we didn't get some.
Just so you know, Mom, I'm working on something very, very big. Very important. You're going to be very proud. It's the worldly news. Here it is, the worldly news. The news brought to you from around the world with ha-has included.
With ha-has. I looked for Simcoe News today, by the way. I
Nothing's-
did my best.
Nothing's happening.
There
there?
was nothing.
Still nothing happening in Simcoe News.
Nothing is happening
So,
in Simcoe News.
If Mike wants Simcoe News to be such a thing, why doesn't Mike give us the news then?
Yes.
yeah.
How about you send us the news articles that are entertaining enough, and we'll bring back Simcoe News.
That would be
But
great.
until then,
It just got like
Simcoe COVID updates aren't any more exciting than anybody else's COVID updates.
Exactly.
unless they have some serious spikes. Like if you start seeing like 700-800 people die a day, then that's more interesting.
There's a story there.
Okay, so our first story today is Canadian Army promotes polar bear to honorary master corporal.
Okay, what's the backstory?
Wow.
The backstory is the Canadian Army celebrated the 5th birthday of a beloved polar bear at the Toronto Zoo and gave the animal a promotion.
How are things?
He's just a bear at the zoo.
He's just a polar bear.
How are things going in the Canadian Army? Well, our leader is a polar bear.
Yeah, right?
We
Okay, here's
take
the rest
direction
of it.
from this guy.
To be fair, the U.S. hasn't been getting into any fights for the last 4
That's
years.
true.
So we haven't really had to do much.
Right? His name is Juno,
Oh yeah.
and he was born on Remembrance Day.
Oh, good. Okay.
So he was named after the Canadian landings on Juno Beach. So they promoted him.
Okay.
Well,
I thought there was going to be a way cooler story behind that. I thought it was going to
No,
be like,
that's it.
They saddled him one time and rode him into battle. I was like, it's going to be
It's
something
a
like
war
that.
bear.
It's a war bear.
Yeah.
But no, that wasn't the story. Just a bear at a zoo.
He scraped the side of a Russian submarine and sunk it.
Exactly.
And then climbed back up on the surface.
Yeah.
Ate a seal.
So
That polar bear is our Arctic control.
yeah,
or
exactly.
Arctic patrol.
Right? He makes sure that the Russians don't get in here.
Yeah.
Okay, story number 2. Wade, have you ever had a deer steal your gun?
No.
Czech Republic, deer steals hunter's gun and then flees into the woods.
So did it like hook the strap with its horn?
Yeah, so the deer charged
Yeah.
a hunter and snagged the gun on his antlers and then ran into the woods.
So I have seen stories where hunters die because they fall on the antlers of the deer. Like they shoot the deer
Yeah.
and then they're trying to load it or whatever. They're trying to skin it out or something. And then they fall and spear themselves with the horn and then die. And so, gotcha.
There you go.
We're even. You know what I mean? It's like, here we are.
You got any feel good stories?
Not like overly. The
So
last
then you come upon this mound of deer and man just like fought to the death, both of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One's shot. The other one's like impaled in
Gored.
his thigh. It's like,
right.
yeah, well, there we are. Conservation officer.
So our
I think
final
the deer wins in that case.
Yes, he
Because
does.
he wasn't expected to win.
That's right.
A tie is a win for
You
the
know
deer.
what? I think like all things we equal, the humans are. I would bet against a human in every fight. We are not the toughest animals on the planet. The
No, but
only,
like,
No.
not even close. So
well, agreed, but with the gun.
yep. But now the deer know how to steal the guns.
Just the
So
one.
now we're
Are you worried now, Wade?
no.
No. Yeah, because you don't see many of them.
That's right.
You just see moose.
The ones
No.
he sees don't have antlers.
That's right. All this stuff I see has
They
no
can't
horns.
grab the gun.
Yeah.
Final story. Customer orders 1 beer and leaves a $3,000 tip.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Where?
Ohio Jazz and Blues Club said the customer came in just before the business closed its doors due to COVID-19, ordered a single beer, and left a $3,000 tip.
Good for him. That's the kind of stuff I would love to do if I could afford to do it. Who was the guy? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
That's the best.
In the night.
Yeah, so they originally thought it was a $300 tip, but it was a $3,000 tip.
The guy probably thought it was a $30 tip.
Right.
It was just one beer. It's not like it was like 10 beer, though.
Fell asleep writing out the zeros.
He must have been sober.
They missed the dot. It was supposed to be 30.00. They're like, $3,000. Run his card. Right now, he's having some pretty serious conversations with Visa.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. And that's it.
That's good. Every once in a while, those stories pop up, right?
Yeah.
The big tip stories.
Yeah.
So,
what's the biggest tip you've ever left?
Oh, I thought you were going to say
purpose.
received. I was like, I don't know that I've held many jobs where you got tips. Nope. I don't know.
Not a tipper?
Nothing. No, I'm a tipper. I always give the tip.
Just the tip.
just the tip.
But I've never left an outlandish one.
No.
Like I made probably 20% is likely the biggest tip I've given, which is also
That's fair.
pretty standard.
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
I've never been
you tipper? Big tipper?
No, not a I would just say
Yeah,
same
same
as
thing, 20%.
Shane. I don't know that I've done anything super crazy. When I served, I had I had a customer give me a $200 tip one time.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good tip.
That's pretty good
Was he
tip.
drinking there for 6 days in a row though?
It was a lady. It was a
and now is your wife.
no.
Her name's Jennifer. Great tipper.
It was a lady and her sister. They had come in. I would say she was in her mid 40s. They buried their mom that day, and so they had been at a funeral.
What is with this?
Yeah, well, I don't
Days all
know.
about
And then
death.
so they came in to the restaurant, and I didn't know. I had no idea, right?
Right.
And so I served them as I would serve any other table at that time, and I was like, by the end of the dinner, I was sitting at the table with them. We were laughing, and we were having a great time.
Nice.
And so then she gave me a $200 tip, and I came back to the table and was like, that's way too much. And then she told me the story. She was like, we actually just came from the funeral, and she was like, it's one of the saddest days of my life. And she was like, I was laughing and having a blast. And she's like, you're awesome. You
Wow.
changed my day. And I was like,
just because you were funny.
well, not even looks, man. It was my words.
Maybe you should be a stand-up comedian.
Besides,
what the hell are you doing here?
I swiped this out of the donation dish anyway, so it's not really my money. The plate went around, and I might have took a couple bucks. Hey, I'm in hard times. My mom died. Leave me alone.
Whoa, back off. Okay.
All right. Is that it?
That's it.
That's it for the worldly
That's it.
news.
I got nothing today.
The worldly news. Today. So today's Black Friday. Before we move on,
Yeah.
are you shopping? Did you shop?
I shopped.
What'd you buy?
I bought a Roadcaster Pro.
Yeah, you did.
Well, that was a Black Friday thing.
Yeah, it happened yesterday, so I got it. It was
was
a pre-Black Friday
All
sale.
week Black Friday sale. Sweet. You?
Nope.
Not even shopping
The easiest way to not spend money on
is to not look.
Just to
look,
not
right?
look.
I don't need anything. You know what I mean? Like, what do you like? Yeah, I don't need anything.
Okay. Fine. I did a little bit of shopping.
And what'd you find?
Bought a Christmas present. My wife listens to this podcast, so I can't tell you what it was.
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't, but she says she does.
She says now you could test her.
Right? I already know she doesn't. But I bought her a gift, and I also bought a TV for in here, for that corner over there. And I bought it with my own personal money, and maybe someday if the business ever uses it, then they can pay me back. But I bought a 32-inch TV because we need some sort of screen in here, and I wanted to put a TV in here. So it was $109
Well, that's not bad.
Pretty
for
good
a
deal.
32-inch sharp TV. So I thought,
Yeah.
well, now's the time.
Now's the time.
Because I was looking for used ones for quite a while, and you couldn't find a used one for that. So I pick it up tonight.
You pick it up tonight?
Yep, Superstore. They wouldn't ship it to you. They're not making enough money to ship it. I got to pick it up.
That's
And
fine.
I got to pay $3 for a pickup fee.
$112.
They're
Story
paying
changes.
you $3
That's a whole
Story
other
changes.
to have
story.
you come and pick it up.
Yeah.
Not a 109 TV
Yeah.
anymore.
No, it's not. It's a $112 TV.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. So can we do that? Can we charge people to pick up stuff? Like
Pickup fee.
contractor phones in is like, hey, I got to pick up a deck package. And we're like, yeah, okay, sounds good. That's $50 to pick it up. Like,
Or 75 to deliver.
that seems
Or
absurd.
75 to deliver.
Yeah.
Or 0 if you come and pick it out of the yard yourself.
There, now we got something.
Right? You give them 3 options.
Anyway, today's topic is so I reached out to the Facebook groups and said, "Hey, what do you guys want us to talk about? Want some topics out here?" And like we had quite
They were
a
like
bit of
Mad
feedback.
Libs.
And they were like,
More Mad Libs.
tell me about the deer and tell me about your Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
So here we are.
And so one of the ideas in there was, "Hey, can you guys do a podcast about essentially specialty deck tools?" So not tape measures and track saws, they said. They wanted specifically things like that are just deck only tools, installation tools, whatever, right? So like camo guns and that kind of thing.
Well, I'd argue that a track saw is a specialty tool that should fall onto this list.
Right, but I think maybe we've talked about those ones enough.
It's almost like we've talked about track saws.
I think more because the
Track
track
saw.
saw is not just a deck building tool, right?
Yeah.
Like it's used for ripping down sheet goods a lot.
I
for
would argue that
interior.
most cabinet makers aren't using a track saw to cut cabinets. They have like their
Maybe not.
big old fancy table saw.
Yep.
Anyways.
Some guys are trimming down doors with them. But anyway, it's not specifically intended to be a deck tool necessarily.
Sure.
Okay.
So we're talking about deck specific tools. And so a bunch of these here that we have are install tools, and they're kind of like around installing clips, installing fasteners into deck boards. But we also included a few other ones in here that were like demolition tools or clamping tools or just kind of nifty little gadget tools. So we're not talking about like Cortex plugs and bits and things. These are actual tools that make you or help you do a job. So,
A
Wade,
little bit better. Do it better.
the first up, we're going to talk about, and some of these is just a category of tools. So this one's a category of tool of like the collated fasteners, like a quick drive or a PAM drive gun.
Yes.
So collated deck screws, essentially. And so those are
Slick.
the 2 big ones, right?
Really fast.
Yeah.
So, quick drive, Pam drive, and then Camo has one. Camo tool. Camo drive.
So quick drive, PAM drive, for those who don't know what they are stand-up tools, so you don't have to bend down anymore. You stand up with the tool and you plunge it down. It's got a long shaft on it, for lack of better words, and you put in collated strips.
It
of
doesn't matter
screws.
how old you are. You know
It
what I mean?
doesn't.
Like, as a dude, it's like the first time you guys said the word tip.
Right. It was just
What's
it was all
what's
over.
the biggest tip you ever gave? I was like, this is not going to work. We have to use a different word.
Yeah. So these,
And the shaft is so long. Yeah, here we are.
Long shaft.
yeah. What's the next word that you're thinking of right now that we haven't
Screw.
used?
Yep. That was the one I
Okay.
was thinking of too.
Where are you at? What's your
Moist. Mine was moist.
moist? Oh,
I was
Moist.
like, how are we going to work moist into here?
Well, it works the best when you're fastening down moist 5/4 decking so you don't get your knees wet.
Right, of course.
Right.
Yeah, so you don't get your knees wet.
Dude,
Yeah,
you got to do a quick screw.
yeah. You need a quick screw. Make sure you're not too moist.
Oh boy.
Quick drive, PAM drive, stand-up tools. These tools come with the screwdriver. Like you buy the whole kit.
Yeah, it has a drill,
Not the screwdriver, the drill.
Yeah.
And the
the electric screwdriver.
shaft in the end that allows you to do this.
Yeah.
And so you put in a collated strip of screws, and this allows you to walk around and just plunge in deck screws one after the other without, like, you reload every 50 screws.
Yes.
I think the PAM drive one might be longer. I believe it might be 50 in the quick drive. I don't recall that off the top of my
It's
head. but-
incredible how fast these things are.
So yeah, they just
Real
speed
time
up
savers.
install. Now it works great if your boards are nice and straight and consistent, because then you can walk through and not have to do a bunch of adjusting and whatnot.
Yeah, but don't most people just tack the boards in and then go back and like snap a chalk line and boom, boom, boom?
Possibly.
That's what I always did. It was like I'd get the boards all kind of like tacked in and then
Right, and then go back and
snap a line
Finish
and
it
then
off.
finish it. Like
so. And the PAM drive actually has the option of adding on trapeze 3 colored composite screws onto collated strips as well. So not only, because I
Yes.
regard these as a lot of times as like a treasure preted.
it'll catch on. I'd just stick to it.
Treasure breeded.
Treasure treated.
TP.
Why is your wood so expensive? I mean, I saw pressure treated at the start of the year. No, this is treasure preted. It's
It's
luck.
the new line.
it's premium. The old pressure treated stuff wasn't working very well anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I always regard this as a pressure treated install thing, because nobody really wants to face screw down composites, at least not in our area.
Nope.
And so, but you do have the option of the PAM drive. And I had heard of some guys in Alberta actually
Mhm.
that were using these for for Cortex installs. They were
Yeah, yeah.
basically throwing out the screws in the box that came with the plugs.
Yep.
Setting the depth in this thing so that they could drive the screw deep enough to accept the plug.
Yep.
And using a PAM drive for that too.
Yeah, they were using it with wolf decking because wolf doesn't have a groove in it,
Sure. Yep.
right? It was a non-grooved deck board, and so they were like, "Well, how do we fasten this down?" will face screw the whole thing and then plug it all.
And if you're using a brand
Yeah.
where you could buy the plugs separately, this would be, why not? Like,
Yep.
get after it.
Yeah.
But often the plugs come as a kit with the screws, so you're throwing out a bunch of screws. You're costing a bit more, but if it's helping you be way faster, then it offsets.
Yep.
So
Somebody obviously did the math on that.
now the next tool we'll talk about does this function. You mentioned it already. The camo drive tool will also let you face screw with a correlated strip of screws, 3-inch screws.
Yep.
And so,
But it has other cool features, Bryce. Wait.
Just wait.
Shane will tell you.
as an
Ambassador.
overall tool,
You're not an ambassador? You don't get paid to talk about these things?
I don't.
Oh, we just love
Can
it.
we make that happen?
I'm sure we could.
I can't. I don't have any money.
If
It's
somebody from
November.
Camo is listening,
They're not.
Camo.
let's go. We're ready. As a complete tool, if you were going to buy a quick drive or a camo drive, you
Yeah.
buy the camo drive
Airtime.
100% of the time.
Yep.
But
But
if you're only face screwing, right? If you're only face screwing sheet goods or deck boards or whatever,
yeah.
then I think the other tools are probably better at that.
Yes.
Because the camo drive screws they have a clipped head on them. They don't start as fast.
Correct.
Like, it's slower to face screw with the camo drive than it would be with the quick drive or the PAM drive.
Yes.
So if that's the only thing you're doing with it, I would say the other tools are probably still better. But it's the two additional functions of the camo drive that make this the ultimate stand-up drive tool.
Yep. What are they, Shane?
Oh, well, let me, hold on.
Here comes an ad read.
Yeah. Let me check the inside of my sleeve here from this nice cardigan that the camo company gave to me. It's got all the benefits and features of it. So this also has the ability to do the edge fastening. So like the traditional camo jig, the little number 7 screws that go in the sides of the boards. So that's really cool. But the best part is this has the ability to do stand-up plunge action on the clips as well.
Right. So now you can fasten composite decking or treated decking or...
Yeah.
let's call it softwood.
The fact that this thing is a 3-way tool is enough to give it the edge over the quick drive and the PAM drive.
Circle in the drain today.
Yeah. So I feel like we shouldn't move on because it's really a wicked tool, but we've said what we need to say with it.
Yeah.
If you haven't used the camo edge clips before, they are great little clips that hold on to the joists themselves, so you can just kind of load all your deck boards on. They hold themselves in place, clamp the whole deck down, and then walk around with this camo drive tool and just plunge the screws down one after another. It's insanely fast.
Yep.
So
Everybody loves it.
it's amazing. The next one we're going to talk about is the tool from, it's like a bit of a joint effort from Fastenmaster and TimberTech, the 5-shot/fusion lock gun.
Yeah. Into the revision model now, because I think it was supposed to be a 15-shot when they first created it,
Yeah.
right?
When it was called the fusion lock, it was going to fire 15 collated.
And
we should have this in the other order.
And the idea of that was that it was going to do a 16-foot deck board, right? Or 20-foot deck board. Is that why it was a 15 shot?
enough
It
to
was
shoot down a 20-foot deck board before you
20-foot
have to reload.
Yeah. So anyways, do you want to change the order now that
I
you've
want to
started?
talk about the other one first because the reason the fusion lock exists was it's a bunch of improvements on the Tiger Claw gun,
Oh, okay.
right? So a lot of guys are familiar with Tiger Claw. It
So-
used to be one that we used to use quite a bit.
Yeah.
And used to sell quite a bit of. And
it's a
Tiger
gun?
Claw, yeah, it's a pneumatic nailer.
Oh, okay.
So the nice thing about the Tiger
Pneumatic
Claw,
spelled with a P, Bryce. P-N.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go there.
Okay. Pretty rich that I'm giving spelling advice. That's
Yeah.
what I'd like to say.
the nice thing about it is that, so instead of using a traditional hidden fastener clip where you put them in one at a time with your hands, this thing was the first tool, or one of the first tools, to allow you to actually speed the process up by shooting the fastener in and have a collated strip of screws on it, or scrails as they called them.
Scrails.
Grails.
Yeah, because it was a screw nail. So it's a scrail.
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 This sounds
Yeah.
like you
You wanna
a
talk about
dubstep
dirty
DJ or something.
Get scrailed.
Scrail.
So it was a Phillips head
Nail.
screw that was shot in.
So just the threading on it was less aggressive than a typical screw, so that it could shoot in like a nail, but you could always grab your drill and reverse it like a screw if you had
Oh,
to pull it
wow.
out for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Scrail.
So it was quite slick.
That's pretty
Like
cool.
for a lot of years, that was the tool. That was the deck installer's tool. It was fast.
Yep.
Um,
So your
once you got
clips
used to it, it was
your
fast.
clips you still had to load by hand,
Yeah.
one at a time, but you could put the clip onto the end of the nailer and then drop it into the deck board, push down, like seat it down, pull the trigger. Scrael would shoot. Next clip.
Slide it off.
Scrail's the worst word.
I think
Moist
I
is
want to
way
use it
worse.
in my life more, because the only time you get to use it right now is when you're talking about this gun. This gun's kind of fading away a little bit. I think we should start using it for other things.
Like what?
I don't know.
Use it in a sentence.
You guys want to play ping pong and get scrailed tonight?
Get scrailed.
Ooh.
Let's go grab a 6-pack and get scrailed, boys.
I don't
Get
even know
scrailed.
what that is, but I'm interested.
Oh.
Right? Wade was about to play ping pong for the first time right
Got
there.
my,
after that.
perked one ear up for sure.
So
wasn't the ping pong.
it was nice because it was faster than handling each individual clip before. You could go in and shoot them down.
Yeah.
The tricky thing with it was that it wasn't the easiest tool to keep your board straight, because if the pressure in your compressor changed at all or something, or you just didn't see it the same, sometimes it would shoot inconsistently. And I always found using it that sometimes it would overdrive the ends of the boards a little bit. So if you weren't careful as you went, your boards, you'd start straight and then you'd start shooting the ends of the boards in just a tiny bit, right? It might only be a 32nd of an inch over the ones in the middle of the board, but over time that adds up, and all of a sudden your boards are curved a little bit.
looking like a banana.
So you have to use some spacers to kind of put in there so it doesn't overdrive. That was one problem. The second problem was that it didn't shoot, it had good push power, like it pushed the boards into each other nice and tight, but it didn't hold them down real well. Right?
Yes.
Like sometimes they could ride up a little bit because the scrael is being shot in at about like a 45-degree angle or an angle of some sort and not straight down. So it didn't clamp the board down real well. So at the ends of your boards, it didn't do a great job of like sucking down the ends of the boards, because sometimes the ends of composite boards like to like curl up a little bit. And if you screw those down, it's fine. It pulls them down. But this tool, because it was shot in, didn't hold them down real well at the end. So sometimes you're still find yourself putting some screws at the end of the boards to hold them down.
Yep.
Nice.
And the third, probably most frustrating part was that they were not, once the boards were on, they were on. You couldn't get at the screws after you'd put the next board on if you ever had to replace a board.
Yeah, so if you had to go back into if you had to replace the middle board in your deck, you couldn't back the screws out because the scrael was shot in.
Because you're scrailed.
That's right, you are scrailed. So it was shot in at a 45-degree angle, and you couldn't get a drill on that or anything to back that screw out.
So then you got to take off a bunch of boards to get to it, or
The board's racked.
or you rip the board out. Like you cut down the middle of the board, you pop it out, but the new board, you can't use the same fasteners. Now you got to use something else to put the new board in. So it wasn't the best way to handle like replacing a board or whatever. So for that reason, Fasten Master started working on the Fusion Lock, and the Fusion Lock was going to address those three things. So the holding power and the straight down holding power. So the Fusion Lock now shoots a clip straight down. The screw goes in 90 degrees.
Yep.
And so you can get at it again afterwards if you need to.
Yes.
After the boards are installed. It also had like a 3-prong just prongs. It had
Three prongs.
Prongs on the clip that would dig into the joist. So it made a stronger connection to the wood, the clip did. Because it wasn't just kind of sitting on top of the wood with the scrael shot in. It was like the scrael was shot in, and there was these prongs that kind of bit the wood down a little bit too. And so it's a little bit stronger of a clip. You could get at it afterwards. And now they've added the collated clips. So before you said collated scraels, now you've got collated scraels on a roll too. I think there's like 200 or
way more.
Way more on
like
a
a
strip.
machine gun.
Right. Instead of being like the small little strips that came with the tire claw, which, boy, it's been years since I used it, but I think there was like 25 scales on a clip or something, right? And so now you've got that. Plus, you were supposed to have 15 collated clips that came in little like sheets of or strings of 5. So you put 3 rows in, and then you could shoot down a whole 20-foot deck board before you had to reload your clips. So I was like, that's amazing.
Yep. In theory.
Yeah.
So great holding down power, stronger overall, 90 degrees, you can get the screw, and collated clips finally.
Didn't work. At 15.
The gun was god-awful. It was when it first came out, it was not ready for prime time when it first came out. So I was we were pretty tight with Fastmaster at the time. Now Steve hates us and
He doesn't message me
doesn't
anymore.
talk to us anymore. But at one point, Steve really liked me when I was building. And he hooked me up with a couple of guns that were like early. They were officially released, but they were like just released. And
Version
they were looking
1.
for feedback on it, and I tried them. He gave me a couple guns, and we tried them. It was like, oh my God, like even for free, I wouldn't use this thing. But they did go through and they made a lot of improvements over the last number of years. And apparently, I haven't used it now, but apparently it's good. Apparently they've worked out all the issues that they were having with it. So, and I always said, like, if it works as it's intended to work, it would be a really good gun. So it sounds like they've gotten there.
Yeah.
So it's a really good gun. It's big and it's heavy. That's the only thing, right?
And it was expensive.
Quite large. And it's a very expensive gun.
Yeah.
It's like $1,000, or it used to be like $1,000 gun.
Holy
Yeah.
$800 or
smokes.
$900 gun.
That's right. Yeah.
And the clips were expensive too. So I don't know where that's either, but and they did have an exclusivity, and they still do, I think, with TimberTech. So technically, you're only supposed to use those clips warranted with TimberTech products.
Yep.
That said, they're fairly universal. They would work with other brands if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, so it
great
was-
tool.
Yeah. It was. I remember
And they
those
renamed it to
conversations.
5-shot.
Yeah, 5-shot, because when they were doing 15, that like it kept jamming and you couldn't, like, the clips were riding over top of each
Right.
other, and so anyways, it didn't work. But it was an amazing theory, and so at 5, I believe it is working. So from what I hear,
Yeah, I think it's good now. So, but it's for sure not the tool you see everybody using. It's
Nope.
still pretty niche. More guys are getting onto this camo edge or just using the traditional style clips than are using Fusion Lock, but it's out there now, and there's some guys that use it, and I'm sure love it. So
yeah, yep,
if you're doing a lot of TimberTech, it's for sure one to look at using.
absolutely,
So you can be in the entire system and get all the perks and benefits of that.
warranty, etc.
Along with the tire claw, there were similar guns that we won't really get into the details because they're all very similar, but you had other ones like the Exterminator and the Mantis clips and everything that would shoot in. They're very, very, very similar to
Yeah, they're all the same.
tire claw. The clip itself looks different, but it still uses a scrael and shoots it in and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and the Mantis guy is going to be like, mine's better because of these.
Yeah.
3 menial points and
Right.
anyways.
Now, the tire claw, just to touch a little bit more on that before we move on, it used a universal clip called the TCG clip, which was
Mhm.
meant for all like 1-inch groove deck boards, but they did have some agreements with some of the manufacturers that had like Trex and TimberTech actually to produce like the conceal lock and the hideaway clips.
Yep.
That were basically the TCG, but a slightly different profile so that it fit less universally and fit their boards better.
Yes.
So on the Trex one, like the angle, like the shape of the clip was just curved a little bit more to match the radius edge of Trex deck board, so it fit it better.
Yep.
It fit a little bit cleaner. And same with the TimberTech one, and it's also brown instead of black for some reason.
Yep.
But they were always a bit
Same
more
color
money
as
too.
the Joyce.
So, next one, HitFast. Want to talk a little HitFast?
Yep.
We got these on sale today. So if anybody is listening to this,
Live.
all 3 of you, and you use HitFast, go to our website. Actually, we might have sold out of the fasteners, but the guns are still on for a lower than ever price. So if you're looking for a HitFast gun, now's the time.
Yeah.
UltimateDeckShop.com. They're regular over $700 Canadian. We have it on for $499. It's like
Move them.
we're blowing them out. HitFast. You want to talk about HitFast a little bit, or you want me to talk about HitFast?
You can. So HitFast is what? It's like it's a flooring stapler.
Yeah.
That's what it is. We use it for decking.
Okay. Well, maybe
You can go if you'd like.
that was. You want to do it? No, you. And then you did it, but then
I did a really bad job.
that wasn't the greatest.
Yeah. Well, I didn't love it. I used it. I didn't love it.
It was okay.
So
yeah.
guys that use it do love it though, right?
Some do.
So I think where this tool shines, and I guess we should be talking about what you can be using these things for. Like those previous 2 we talked about are meant to be used in mostly composite and PVC groove decking, but I think they sometimes say, like Tire Claw says, you can use their gun with like grooved Ipe and whatnot too. So HitFast, the reason I preface that is HitFast is another one that says you can use this with all sorts of decking, whether it's treated cedar, like any softwoods you can use it with. You can use it with grooved composite decking, non-grooved PVC,
Yes.
and grooved hardwoods, they do say.
Yep.
So very versatile.
Very versatile.
The guys who are using it and loving it, though, are using it with non-grooved PVC
Yes.
most of the time, right? It's
Yep.
Wolf. This is almost a Wolf tool at this point. Wolf PVC. And maybe Vecca.
Yeah, I was like, Vecca, you could do it with Vecca as well.
So to your point, the way it works is it has a stainless steel cleat that actually drives through the board. It actually does positively connect the board to the joist.
Similar to how a camo screw would go through softwood lumber.
Oh, okay.
Same idea.
So it shoots through this corner of the board into the joist below, and then it leaves a little protruding spike sticking out, sharp little spike.
Mm-hmm.
Not so sharp that you're going to like draw blood,
Just gonna rip your foot open.
right?
Might. If
But
you were running.
Might.
But sharp enough that it'll bite into the next board. And so the next board goes up and you take a rubber mallet and you just like tap it in and the spike digs into the board and it presses onto it. And then there's another piece of metal that acts as a spacer, 1/8 inch, 3/16, whatever you want.
Yep.
And so it works pretty slick if you get into the rhythm. And it, to your point, it's exactly a hardwood flooring nailer. If you've ever used a hardwood flooring nailer, you would feel right at home with this. It's exactly the same thing.
Yep.
Pound the next board on, go through, and then drop the hammer down, set it down,
Bang.
hit the striker,
Plunger.
the plunger,
Yep.
and fire the next cleat, and then next board, and on you go. So it can be ridiculously fast. You're standing up again, which guys like a lot.
Yep. So one of the things that was not super good about it is that when you go to pound the next board on, sometimes that board will ride up on the cleat, and then your deck ends up like one of the boards will be high.
You got to stand on it, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah. Once
It's
you get the
finicky,
hang of it.
but it takes some time to get used to it.
Now, they also have another tool, which is not stand-up tool. It's just a gun-style one that can shoot clips both ways. Like the gun sits down between a groove and can rotate this way and shoot a clip this way, and then flip back and shoot a cleat the other way too. Like it's a little bit more like the finish is maybe a little bit more like the camo, like 'cause it shoots holes on both sides of the boards or whatever. But
Yes.
I think the more popular one that I've seen guys use anyway is the stand-up flooring nailer.
Yes.
Style one.
Yep.
Okay, so that's probably it for, I would say, those are all pretty much pneumatic or battery driven at least, tools for install. Now, if we're missing any, send us a message, because undoubtedly there's more out there. Like we just tried to pick the more popular ones that people would be somewhat familiar with.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about like Senko's guns or anybody else's stuff that is all very similar but doesn't have a lot of market share. So now we'll move on to more like the jig style things. And we've already mentioned the Camo Marksman a couple times, or at least how it works.
Yep.
And so we'll talk about that again. The Camo Marksman Pro is just a little handheld jig that essentially grips the sides of the boards to hold itself in place. And it has two little chutes that are angled back towards the deck board in the middle.
Yes.
And you drop little number 7 blunt tipped screws into the chutes. You take the supplied driver bit in your own drill and you drive them until it stops you.
Yep.
And what it's doing is driving
Time's
a
up.
small little screw on the side of the board instead of face screwing it. So the benefit of that is no
slippers.
screws on the top, which means no splinters.
And it looks cool.
And it looks way better. It gives you a hidden fastener finish on a
Right.
product that maybe
Yeah.
doesn't have that option that's typically screwed down, right?
Yep.
Now, they say you can use this with all sorts of stuff too. Same thing. Softwoods, composites, PVCs, and hardwoods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So very versatile again. And they do have a stainless steel screw option.
Yep.
For those areas that need it, or for hardwood applications, or
Yep.
somewhere you need some
So
flex.
the reason I was like, yeah, is because it was like with the hardwood, it does get a little bit trickier. They have you're supposed to buy a drill bit to like pre-drill the hardwood.
So you don't split it?
Yeah, and also because it's like hard,
Oh, okay.
so the screw won't bite in right away. Like
You pretty much have to pre-drill hardwoods to drive screws in them.
Oh, okay.
No matter what you're using.
Yeah.
They're dense stuff.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
yeah.
so it's like I didn't love it. I don't love it on hardwoods because you have that extra step, right? Makes a lot of sense for softwood lumber because it lines the screws up and
But
it's
you've got
actually
that
pretty quick.
You've got that step with pretty much any hardwood fastening tool.
When you
right?
start to do hardwood, period. That's it.
Yeah. So, but we think like when we sell cedar in the store, it's like our attachment when you sell a cedar deck is probably like 80-90%. We sell this with cedar decks all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With treated, not as much because people are going budget. This does require the purchase of the jig. So that's something you don't have to do if you're just going to face screw it. And the screws themselves are marginally more. They're not much more, but they're a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody's trying to like do
Budget.
a deck on the cheap and don't want to spend any frills, then they're probably not going to do it.
Right.
Which a lot of times if people are doing treated decks, that's the case.
Yeah.
But
Which is too bad because it's pretty slick.
it is pretty slick.
And once you get going, it's fast.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's a great upgrade. It doesn't cost that much more. And we rent the tools even. So somebody just wants to rent the tool for a couple of days, they can do that.
Yep.
And then they're only paying the screw cost, which is roughly 40 cents a square foot for the screws. Whereas you're like the face screw, it's probably 20 cents a square foot or something, right?
Yeah.
Like it's double, but it's double on a really cheap part of the deck.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's a good thing. Like I don't think I would ever make this my only installation tool, but it's a good one to have for certain projects like the softwoods.
Yep.
So
That's where I'd use it.
Craig jig,
It's the same.
same idea, right?
Yep.
Very similar.
Only blue instead of camo.
And it doesn't grip both sides of the deck to be able to do both sides of the board at once. You have to
yeah.
move it. But it does also require the pre-drilling if you're going to do hardwoods. Very similar aspect there. They're very similar. The one thing I didn't like about the Craig jig is that it leaves a bigger gap. It's a 1/4 inch gap. But the nice thing about that too is that it gets the screws a little bit lower
On the shoulder of the board.
Yeah, but the gap's really high.
So you don't see where the screw went in. So that's really good.
Yeah.
But
because we didn't mention, but the Camel Marksman does come in 1/16 and 3/16 inch gap options.
right.
And the difference is, aside from the spacing, is that the 1/16 puts the screw a little bit higher in the shoulder, goes in at a sharper angle. So it's a little
Yes.
bit more visible,
Yep.
but your gap's smaller.
Yep.
And they also do have a no gap tool, but it's a handheld one that doesn't grip the boards and it like one
Yep.
side at a time. It's a little bit more cumbersome.
Yep.
But they've got a few options. And then they got the narrow board tool. So if you're installing 5/4 by 5 decking, you can buy one of the narrow board tools.
This is camo we're talking about again. We've gone back to camo.
Oh, we've gone back to camo.
Back to camo,
Oh,
just to just touch on the spacing. Because Craig jig, we said like,
1/4
sucks
inch.
because it's 1/4 inch, but we never talked about spacing in the camo.
Right.
So Craig jig's fine. I did a whole Ipe job in it. It was good. I liked it.
It's
but
fine.
It was fun. Yep. I liked it because I could use number 8 screws in it and not number 7s. And
Which is good for hardwoods.
I wanted the beefier screw for the hardwood, which is why I did it.
Mm.
So it is a bigger hole in the side of the deck too, though, but it's further down. So I don't know. It is what it is, right?
Mhm.
Now the next few tools we're going to talk about are what are we going to call these things? Board influencers.
Yeah.
Like they're on Instagram
Yeah,
all
they're
the
on
time.
Instagram. These guys
Yeah.
are on Instagram all
guys
the
are-
time.
if you're on there, you'll probably run into these guys at some point. Big time influencers. These are some sort of leverage tool that's going to bend boards into place or push boards tight or make boards do what boards don't want to do. And so there's a few that we've talked about before. The bow wrench is a very popular one that's out there. What's going on?
Nothing.
What did I say now?
I don't know. I miss it.
I was just like, it makes the boards do what they don't want to do, but like in a positive way,
Like in a
right?
nice way.
It's not offensive or anything.
We have to say, if the board says no, stop.
yeah,
So
it was just resisting and it wanted to be straight.
whoa.
Right? That's why I was laughing, and you were like, "Why?" And I was like, "Nothing. Leave me alone." This is
So bow wrench is a very popular one. The hardwood wrench is the one that I had. It's quite a bit more money than the bow wrench. Does the same thing though. And then the newest craze one is the camo lever. And
Yeah.
it also does the same thing again, but at a very reasonable price as well. The nice thing about the camo lever is that it is adjustable to different joist sizes, like a double joist or a steel joist. It's a little bit more flexible with what you can use it for. But
Yep.
aside from that, it does the same thing as the rest of them.
Yeah.
So 3 good options if you need to.
And so they're great when you're doing stuff like the camo clips, and you're going to put the whole deck down and then use a lever tool, twist it into place, press the boards all tight, then go back and fasten all the screws down.
Yeah. So yeah,
You get one really crooked treated board that's easy enough to persuade into place, and so
yeah, because you can, with softwoods, you can most of the time, if you don't have one of these, there's ways to get that thing to straighten out.
Yep.
Like they're soft enough usually that you can kick it into place often.
Yep.
And if not, then grab a board and get some leverage somewhere or whatever. But with hardwood, it's a little bit trickier. It's good to have one of these little hardwood wrenches. And to your point, like the camo lever, because these tools have been traditionally thought of, this is how you make natural products straight, right? So wood, because
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, composites and PVCs are straight, or if they do have a little bit of a bow to them, they're easy to push into place.
Super easy to push into place.
But where this is super important is back to that camo drive with the clips. If you're going to lay out a whole deck with the clips and not fasten anything yet, it's good to put something on the end of the deck to kind of push that all and compress it all and make sure that all the boards are tight to the clips.
Yep.
And these tools will do that too.
Yeah.
And the other thing that'll do that is the Irwin deck clamps,
Ooh, great segue.
right?
Killed it.
And so if you've got a pair of Irwin clamps already, which is a fairly popular brand of clamps,
Mhm.
it's not Bessie, but it's like an affordable number 1 kind of thing.
They're not what?
Bessie
What's that?
clamps.
Bessie's a brand.
I think it's Bessie.
I didn't even know. I
They're-
only knew
they're
the
like
Irwin
the-
ones.
They're like the stiletto of clamps.
Oh,
And so,
stilettos.
oh, you
are
would know
hammer.
that.
Yeah, I know that.
Stilettos are hammer name.
And so Irwin's got a lot of clamps out there. It's a good chance you probably have some clamps, and they actually make a little, so you take the little rubber feet off your clamps and you put these little deck clamps on, and they're just gripped to be able to slide between the groove of the board and kind of compress everything too.
Mm-hmm.
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 So you can grip and spread or compress those.
Yeah, so
boards.
great.
Shut up.
They're great, but you can't, like, you're limited to the capacity. You only do like what 2 or 3 boards at a time, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
unless
4.
you use it as a spreader bar, right? Like you're limited to the length, the size of your clamp.
Yes.
If you have a 48
Mm-hmm.
inch clamp, then you can do 4 feet with the boards, which is 8, 9 boards maybe.
Tops. Yeah.
Right.
But if you turn around and use it as a spreader against the rim board or something and push them that way, then maybe you can kind of do it. I know I've watched guys try to use their clamps not with these attachments, and the clamps want to ride up and they want to push the boards up, and it doesn't work real well. So these little add-on additions are much more helpful. Or the camo lever doesn't do that either. Like it's a better tool too. But the thing with the Irwin clamps is they're probably, I don't know, you can get them for much less than these lever tools. Right,
Yeah.
like you can go get a small like clamp and
I don't know what they are. We have some here,
maybe,
right?
Yeah,
If we have
depends
some,
on the
but
size.
I don't know what they are.
The next category we're going to talk about is demolition.
Demolition.
Hit the music, Bryce.
I don't have any.
Oh shit!
Ba-da-da.
There it is. We're gonna break some shit today.
I was listening to Limp Bizkit earlier today.
Okay, sing that.
No, I can't sing.
Okay.
Mike, but there's a song called Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit.
Sure.
It's really, really good.
Well, we should have had that on here.
Yeah, cue it up. That's the one.
There you go.
I knew it. I knew we had it.
Don't want to
on here.
get sued.
Yeah. So demo tools. So most of the time, the demo tools is that still going?
Yeah, it's a long
Most
one.
of the demo
a lot of
tools
crickets.
are for ripping deck boards off. Because if you're going to demolition a whole deck, if you're going
Demolition.
to demolish a whole deck, you're better off just to get your Sawzall and your skill saw out and cut that thing down and
A chainsaw.
junk it, or a chainsaw.
Yeah.
But a
this
good
is if
one,
you're
like
trying
a
to
steel one. STIHL.
right, yeah,
Still.
style. So
Orange.
these tools are more meant to pop the deck boards off, but leave the framing intact. So maybe that's just how you like to demolish decks,
Demolition.
or
decks.
maybe you're trying to save the framing. But if you're
Have you
pulling these
done
out
this?
with nails,
Have you have you done that before? Have you used a demo bar and
I have used a pry bar to pry boards off, but I don't own any of these tools.
this is it seems to me like what a terrible idea that would be. So I never did, right? So I like these tools. I think these tools are great if you're going to do that. But in my head, what happens is you pry this deck board off, and either you rip the board through the screw and the screw continues to stay in the joist, and then you have to go back and sawzall all these things off or grind them off, or the screw comes out and rips a chunk of the joist out.
Yeah.
This is like,
That's what I was saying.
what
Probably
the
better
hell
if
are
it's
we doing
nails.
here? Like you're as a homeowner, you're going to pay somebody to rip deck boards off. It's like, if you hired me to do that, I would charge you twice as much money to demo your deck. If I was like, we're just going to rip the boards off the top. Oh, that'll be $7 a square foot. It would be some absurd number so that you were like, either hired somebody else or I made great money doing it, because it's like, I would make it cheaper to build a new deck because it would be so much better.
Just destroy the.
Anyways,
so some of these tools.
go ahead and endorse these tools now. Good luck.
I'm not going to get any cash endorsement from these now. Anyway, the Gutster demo bar, the deck wrecker, duck bill deck wrecker, these types of things. So to explain what they are a little bit, because there's no visual here, a long handle, and on the end of it is some sort of grabber mechanism, like steel shaped to grab a deck board that gives you leverage against the joist or something to just like force and break the fastener essentially.
Yep. Or the board. Break the board or break the fastener.
So like I said, if the deck was nailed down, I think these are a great tool. They give you the leverage. You'll slide those nails out. It'll be all good. If it's screwed down, to your point, I think I would grab my drill and I would unscrew the boards. And if it's painted over the screws, then maybe back to this. But it's like, I don't know about using these with screws, because you're right. Either you're breaking them, pulling them through, or destroying the joist in the process.
Yeah.
So, but they're good. They make quick work of popping deck boards off if your certain project works with this type of tool, I guess.
Got a picture of one up. I found one.
Oh, I'm not even in the live anymore.
Okay.
It ended and I didn't go back in.
Tuned out.
It's called the Garant deck wrecker.
Okay.
It's a pretty solid looking tool.
It's a solid looking unit you got
Solid looking unit.
there. Okay.
But yeah.
And so the last tool. Now there's a bunch of little tools that are also really good that we didn't include in here because they're not deck specific. But this one you can make a case that it's deck specific or at least flooring specific, is the grabber joist jaw. So this came up recently on Instagram because Dan's Carpentry posted a picture
Oh, yeah.
because he thought he had a great idea.
How to keep the joist flush with the ledger.
Right. So I think he was working one-man job that day, and he was working 8 feet in the air. And it's like, we've all been there where it's tough to hold the other end of the joist up if you're one-man show, especially if you're up in the air. And how do you get that joist to support itself while you nail in the other side of it? That's the trick. And everybody's got their trick of what to do with it. Like, and what Dan did is what everybody does. He just used nailing plates instead of a block or whatever everybody does. Some guys will shoot a nail and bend a nail over so it can hook the top of the ledger and they can work on the other side. Like, there's a lot of different ways to do that. He used a nailing plate. What the grabber joist jaw is, though, it's intended exactly for this. It's just like a little clamp that slides over top of the end of your joist, and it's got a protrusion out the top that will hook the top of the ledger. And you just basically turn it with a screw. There's like a little screw with a handle on it. And like, you know, like I don't know if there's a name for this kind of thing. You know, like the screw that you would get with a drill, an old school drill that has the chuck that you got to turn the screw in?
Yes.
Like that? Like a little handle like that.
Yeah. I think it's called a chuck key.
Yeah, like a chuck key. But this thing is like, it's got like the long handle like that, like a little T chuck key type thing.
Okay.
And so you just plop this on, you give that little chuck key a turn, and it like bites the board. Oh. And then you set your joist on. Then when you're done, you just go unturn it, and away you go. So slick little device.
Incredible. Have you found one of these things on the Instagram?
On the intranets.
Loading. What's
up?
I was wondering if you were putting that up there. I was
put it up.
I was
on
watching
his side, but
it's on his
not on
side.
our side.
Yeah, we're gonna wait. There's
yeah.
a moment
It's
of
coming.
silence while we wait for this to come in.
It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
right?
got a little chuck.
So see, it's got the little chuck key, if you want to call it that, thing there.
Looks amazing.
There's a few different styles of them, but they're all pretty much that.
Cool.
So there's, like I said, there's a lot of ways to do what that thing does, but maybe that's just a little bit more, a little quicker, maybe just to be like, whoop, instead of nailing or screwing on a block or a nailing plate or whatever.
You got to do something, right? You're 8 feet in the air. Like,
certainly got to do something. So for anybody that's watching right now, is there any tools that you would like us to chat about or look up that we didn't mention? Go ahead and put them in the Instagram now, because otherwise we're going to wind this thing down. But Wade, anything you kind of, as we were going through, you're like, oh, we should have talked about this.
no,
No.
I don't think so. I still think track saw should be on the list. So, and which is funny because I'm not really known as the track saw guy in this duo.
So, like, we can go there. Who are these guys to tell? Half these guys weren't even listening to the podcast yet that threw these ideas out here.
That's right.
Who are they to tell us what we can and can't talk about in this podcast?
Yeah.
They're nobody's.
Track saws.
Track saws. The most important tool on the list.
Oh, you know what I think would be a really good thing to have is a white crayon or a white like marker.
A what? Crayon?
Yes.
Crayon. Crayon. I shouldn't have said this word. A white marker. That's what I should have said.
There's American words and Canadian words. I don't know where that one's from.
It's a Wade word.
That's a Wade word.
Wadeism.
Wade Golia. That's from
Crayon.
a white crayon because it's good for marking lumber.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Look, we have some people. Quigley Deck says, I've had tremendous success with the Marshalltown J bar. It's a big ass pry bar.
Big ass.
There you go. I mean, these tools are all the same. They're a big bar that gives you the leverage to pop the board off.
Right.
Mitcon Dexlo says, I like Makita battery track saw. So yeah, if we're going to talk about track saws, for those who don't know what a track saw is.
Who don't know.
Right? Yes, we get to do it again. Track saws! You lay down a track, and it's basically a skill saw, a modified skill saw, essentially, that plunges and has like depth settings and everything else, but it rides the track to ensure a perfectly straight cut.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really amazing tools. They are, as far as I'm concerned, primarily a deck tool. I know guys that use them for other things, but they're a great tool for any deck builder to have in their trailer. That's for sure.
Yeah,
And my only thing is like when we have one it's corded, because when I bought mine, I don't know that cordless ones were really a thing yet. But now there's a lot of great
you're
cordless
old,
ones.
right?
Yeah.
You're old.
You're old balls.
Yeah. So
They had actually just invented drills at that time, right? Like
yeah, my track saw, it's a 1982 model. Actually, guys think these are new tools, not new tools.
It's just a string and a ruler.
It's just yeah. But I would go battery powered 100% now if I was rebuying one. That would be one thing I did, that because the Makita was a great value. It was the lowest price at the time when I bought mine. It was Makita, DeWalt, or Festool. That was basically your options. And now I know that Bosch has one, or they had one out in the UK, I think. And Metabo might even have one. And there's some like Shop Fox and like off-brand track saws out there now too. There's lots of options out there, but the Makita always represented the best value. It was like a good, reliable brand with a good warranty, but less than the other two options. And now, if you're going to go battery, I would say just go with your battery platform. If you're a DeWalt guy, get a DeWalt one. But battery, because that's my one complaint, is that the cord would hook on the track, or like dragging cords on is never fun. So now you can do it battery operated, so why not? Quigley Dex says he invested in a track saw this year, and the only regret he has is that he didn't buy the cordless.
Ooh.
Oh, he should have listened to that last sentence first.
Right. Returnsies. So there you have it. That's a whole bunch of deck-specific tools. Thanks for the idea, Mike somebody on the Facebook group. I can't remember who it was. I should have wrote that
Real
down
shout
too.
out.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. I dedicate this to you. You know who you are.
Yeah. And so if there's any tools that we missed you want us to follow up on, I thought about doing a separate podcast for different types of tools, like install tools, demo tools, but like we just shit all over the demo tools here anyway, so I don't know what are we going to talk
It's just
about.
I don't know. It's just not my style.
Yeah.
Not my style to save that old frame. It's just not worth it, I don't
No,
think.
that's the thing, right? But I know a lot of you guys use these tools in a full demolition. They just prefer to take things apart boarded at a time. And I was always like, I liked running a skill saw down the middle of it and a Sawzall and cutting that thing out in like
4 chunks.
4x6 sections and keeping it all together.
What's the most you can carry?
Yeah.
This many pounds.
Right.
Cut it like that.
Yeah. So that was my preferred method, but to each their own. At least we talked about it. Oh, Mick Condex said that was him that suggested it. So there we go. Now
He was here.
Now we get the proper shout out. So
there you go.
Ironically, our biggest audience in the Instagram is at the end. I'd say they're excited to see this go.
Bum, bum, bum.
So
It's like 2020.
take care.
Peace.
Hey,
Take
yo.
care, everybody. We'll see you again next week.
Hey, thank you for listening to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. Now you know what we're about. Check the site, come and shop. UltimateDeckShop.com. Hit us right away for sponsorships, or tell us if you want to collaborate. Let's go. Check us out on any social networks. Thank you for listening.